Welcome to the Planning Board regular meeting on Thursday, June 8th at 2023 at 9:30 a.m. Please remember to silence your cell phones. The roll call, Ms. Gaskins, please call it.
Member Chinovsky,
Here.
Member Powell,
Here. Present, did you hear me? Hello? Hello? All right.
so he's on. Member DeMoss,
Present.
Member Adwar, Vice Chairperson Mendelson. Present. Chairperson Goldenberg,
And I think I'm here. All
Town
right,
Attorney,
present.
Town Attorney Rubin, and Town Planner Allen is present. Thank you.
Can we all rise for the pledge of allegiance? Flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. All right, we need approval of the agenda, but there is going to be some changes. Originally, it was supposed to be unfinished business was going to be last with new business, and now we're back to new business first. So 9A is going to be shifted to 8A, and 8A will be shifted to 9A. Is there any other agenda recommendations?
I make a motion to accept the agenda as changed.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so done. Ms. Gaskins, can we swear in the public, please? And anybody making any presentations?
Please raise your right hand. By the authority vested in me as a notary of the state of Florida, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
All right, and let's move on. Are there any public comments? And hearing none, I say we move on. Approval of the minutes of May 11th. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, can we get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's go to new business. That would be number 9A. Development application number 23-0002, David Willens. Is that how it's pronounced, sir? Application by Christopher Gallucci, West General Corporation, for a major modification to an existing building as provided in section 30-39 of the Town Code of Ordinances, including but not limited to the addition of 2 new garages, a new covered entertainment area, and changes to the exterior facade and roof line for the property located at 2362 South Ocean Boulevard. Do any members have any ex parte communications to disclose? Hearing none, at this time, which public meeting is now open, Ms. Allen, would you please do your recommendation thing?
Very good. For the record, Ingrid Allen, Town Planner.
I don't hear it. Is
Nope,
that my?
okay. It's
All
on,
right,
okay,
just-
well, maybe let's move it up a little bit.
All right, just so we have it. For us folks that.
Now, can you hear me? Now I gotta
That's
move
it.
in. a
Thank
little
you.
bit. Okay. Lenelta, can we, oh, there we have the PowerPoint. So let's go ahead and look at some aerials before I get into the overview of the proposed project.
There's one here.
These aerials are,
Oh.
of course, in your packet. So here we have just an overhead view of the subject site, the property at 2362 South Ocean. Here we have a front, we could maybe dim the light a little bit. I don't know if you could see it. Again, they're in your packet. This is the front of the property. This particular area was taken in January of 2023. And then you have your next visual. Oh, see if this. Linelda, I'm sorry, the PowerPoint is not moving to the next slide. Wait. You may have
It's
to.
easier on the.
Yep.
For the
Oh,
board
there we go.
member,
There's the rear.
excuse me, for the
Oh.
board members, it's easier if you want to see it, it's in the packet. If we can refer to what pages, do you know?
Yes, the first slide is on page 27
Have it?
and then to 28 and then 27, 28, 29.
Great, thank you.
Okay, here it just came up. This is the rear of the property, again, taken from 2023. So according to the Palm Beach County property appraiser, this home was built in 2000. As already indicated, this is a major modification request to an existing single-family home. Now, the town code provides a description of what a major modification is. It's section 30-39 of the town code, and that description is provided in your staff reports on page 23. I'll just go over it. So a major modification is an alteration, including but not limited to a building footprint, a number of square feet, building height. Can also include the number of dwelling units, parking requirements, change of exterior facade, etc. Now, the proposed modification that the applicant is requesting today, let's go ahead and yes,
I'm sorry. Is the first slide the front of the? property?
correct.
Could you do that again?
It's in your packet. It's in your packet as well.
I wanted to see it up there. Is it
Okay.
possible to do something?
Yeah, it's not working again. I don't know if you can manipulate it.
I know.
Okay,
It's not working.
there you go.
There it goes.
There it
Super
is.
slow.
Okay.
That's the overhead. You wanted the front?
The front.
Okay. Now it's going too much ahead. Hold on. There's the front.
There's the front.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'm sorry.
Okay, you're welcome. So the proposed modification that the applicant is, or I should say, what is before you today is, let's actually go to the site plan. I could call those out as I go through the site plan.
Thank you.
Well. Okay, actually, this is a survey of the property. This is also in your packets. This is the existing survey. And here we have the site plan. Okay, so they're proposing to add 2 new garages. These are two-car garages, totaling 1,197.41 square feet. This will have new air-conditioned area above, which will include a guest suite as well as an office/den. Both the guest suite and the office/den will have balconies. They're also proposing a new covered entertainment area along the rear of the property. I've kind of highlighted there. Again, these are where the new garages are. The applicant is also proposing exterior facade changes, including alterations to window, doors, and balconies to, provide a more modern type look. And when we get to the elevations, obviously, you'll be able to see that as well. And the applicant is also altering the roof line, which you'll see also on the elevations. They're also adding a new pool and spa. See if I can move it again. You might have to do it. Okay, here we have the ground floor plans. Again, here you see the new garages. This is the rear of the property. Again, these are all in your packet. This is the second floor. Here you have the guest suite and the office den with the balconies. It freezes up. This is the second floor in the rear home. And here you have the front elevation. So here you can really see the change in the architectural style. Here on the bottom is the existing, and then you could see the proposed, very different, and then the rendering.
That's what I was.
Yes. That's the front. Here's the rear. This is existing, and this is the proposed, obviously a more modern look, and the rendering. No. There you go. Okay, here you have the right elevation. Here's your existing on the bottom, your proposed on top. And here you have the left elevation. Here's the existing and the proposed on top. They're getting rid of all the arches that you see throughout. And then you have a rendering of both the right side and the left side. The applicant is also changing the landscaping on their property. And they're also proposing a change to the landscaping in FDOT's right of way. And I provided in the staff report that the town has an agreement with FDOT for landscaping, maintenance of landscaping in the right of way. So we have a code section that says if you are adjacent to a public right of way, not only do you have to maintain the landscaping on your property, but you have to maintain the landscaping on the public right of way. So given the applicant is proposing changes to the landscaping in FDOT's right of way, they have to get approval from FDOT for the new landscaping, and they trigger an amendment to that initial agreement.
Will that, will what they're proposing to do?
Why don't we,
Now,
yeah, let her, why don't we let Ingrid finish?
Okay, yeah.
I agree with you. Yeah. good.
So I've gone ahead and provided in your staff report that the landscaping that is proposed on the right of way has been conditionally approved by FDOT. I've gone ahead and provided the permit number that FDOT has provided. Now, these types of amendments to the agreement have to go before the commission. So the applicant has been made aware of early on in the development review process that gets approval here. You'll have to go to the town commission to get approval for that amended maintenance agreement. There'll be an resolution that'll be executed and what have you. As with other development orders, if the planning board approves a project today, the applicant will be required to obtain a building permit from the building department. And pursuant to section 30-21G, a commencement of construction of the approved major modification will be initiated within 2 years following the date of approval by the planning board. Now, in addition, the applicant is also proposing to remove three royal palms on their property. Now, per the code, royal palms are considered specimen trees. So when you remove a specimen tree, the code says you have to get approval from the town commission. So in addition to going before the commission for the amended landscape maintenance agreement along the FDOT right of way, the applicant will also concurrently have to go get a tree removal permit. And in addition, the applicant will have to get a right of way permit for the driveway. The applicant is changing the driveway. And I did note in your staff report, there is a resolution that was passed in 2021 where the town commission wants to look at any improvement in FDOT's right of way until the FDOT RRR project is completed. Once that project is completed, then commission doesn't want to see those anymore, but until then they do. So the applicant again will have to go before the commission to get that approval for a town right of way permit for the driveway. All those three items will go concurrently to the commission. And let's see what else. Oh, I've gone ahead and put the FDOT approval for the driveway permit. That's in your report. And I guess I'll be happy to address any questions. You'll see your plans in your packets or date stamp received May 11th, 2023. Those plans are consistent with the code. And the
Thanks.
applicant is here as well to address any questions.
Thank you, Ingrid. I believe Eileen, you have a few
Yeah,
questions.
I have a few questions.
Sure.
So I just
Speak up.
I just wanted to know, I think you might have addressed it, that the changes are not gonna be a problem with what the state is considering for the right of way.
Right, so they have a conditional approval from FDOT, and basically, when you look at the conditional approval, it says you have to get the amended maintenance agreement approved, so they've signed off on it, everything does match, so yeah.
Okay.
Could I just have one follow-up on that? Is the applicant aware of the RRR project from FDOT? Well, you have to, when Ingrid, are you aware that the applicant's aware of the RRR project?
I don't know if the applicant's aware that triple. R
Well,
project-
when we
we've-
call 'em
we've-
up.
We've advised the applicant that
That's
he
what I
has to
want to
go
know.
through the town commission. This was all documented in the development review process when we have comments going back and
All
forth.
right, Eileen?
Yeah, I have another question. What are the rules that we have about, like renting out some of your house and or the Airbnb stuff? I know there was some controversy like a while ago. I lost track of it. Is there a rule?
Okay, so we have a vacation rental regulations in our code. This is separate from this item.
Well,
So there's certain types of rentings, like a renting scenario that triggers a vacation rental. I mean, I can pull it up on the laptop and let you know maybe once we're doing the next item. But I think it's if you rent more than three times a
3
year
times a
with
year.
30 days or 1
Periods of
month.
less
Yeah,
than 30 days.
Len knows it. That's considered a vacation rental.
Uh,
So if you rent for more than that, then, you're not considered that.
So you can do 3 times a year or
Or-
under 30 days each time.
Yeah, 30 days or 1 month, whichever's less. is
Well,
like
yeah, I
that.
think anytime you're renting for less than periods of 30 days, it becomes a vacation rental
Yeah.
or more than 3 times per year.
I think what might be triggering this. is-
Yeah, I'll tell you what's
Yeah.
triggering it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the minute I saw this renovation, it's very beautiful. But the minute I saw it, it like jumped out at me because I know other people who have done things like this in various other states. My brother was even contemplating something like it, where it's been renovated to provide the ability to have these suites that are closed off from the rest of the house and the 2 garages. And it just, it jumps out at you. And I just want to make sure that that's not the purpose or that it's not going to run afoul of whatever we allow. I mean, I know we allow something, so whatever it is.
Right,
And-
so for like, the major modification is a site plan approval. There's nothing in the code that says that the applicant has to provide whether it's a vacation rental or not. We don't even look at that, but I'll defer to the applicant if you
Right.
want to ask them.
And so I guess what I would say is that I understand that this body has no ability to look at that. I would still say to you that that would be a concern of mine, and it is going to, does it go to the commission after
No.
us with all these like landscape issues and all that?
The only thing that will go before the commission, as I mentioned in the staff report, will be the amended landscape maintenance agreement for the FDOT right of way, the driveway permit, and then the removal of the 3 trees. You have the approval for the major modification.
Okay, got it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead, Brian.
Ingrid, where are the Royal Palms located?
Yeah, on the landscape plan, I'll
Mhm.
show you.
That's L 200,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the additional information.
Let's see. There's a bit of a legend there. I'll tell you which numbers they are. It'll tell you which ones are to be removed. So you will see number 12 is to be removed. That's the Royal Palm. And then you have numbers 4 and 5 are denoted on sheet L-200 to be removed.
4 and 5?
Yeah.
Okay. Removed or replaced?
They're
Or moved? Just moved to the front,
To remove, they're removing it,
gone.
right?
Does any other board member have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Go for it.
It's more for David, but the question I have is, I love the upgrade. As you're looking at the driveway and you're looking at the landscaping, has there been any comments from any of your butters to the project at all?
I'm sorry,
To the abut-
Any neighbors?
Has it
the
been,
budding neighbors.
yeah, has there been any?
I haven't received any public comment. Typically, if I receive any public comment, it would be included in the packet. Or if something's last minute, we'll hand it out at the meeting, but I haven't received any letters or anything.
And we do have a certificate of the mailings.
That's
So-
correct. That's provided by the town clerk. Yeah.
Any other
And I saw it
questions?
posted as I walked by.
Yes, that's
Yeah, that's a
requirement per
question I
town
want.
code.
Go ahead, Harry, please. You have a question?
No, the gentleman asked the question I wanted about the neighbors.
Okay. Ingrid, thank you so much. Can we have the applicant make a presentation So we have some questions for you. Please come forward to the podium. Identify yourself.
Or the architect?
I think the applicant, I'd like to hear from him.
Okay.
Good morning.
But
I'm David Willens.
So we can address that question. It stands out to Eileen and a few other board members that it looks like it could be set up as a separate residence for another, for renting out for Airbnb and so forth. Is this intended to be a single family dwelling only?
It is a single family dwelling by code and otherwise, and the design for that is really intended as it may be a nanny suite, it may be a butler suite, it may be initially we have a young child, so that the purpose is to have a house, a staff person who would reside there and have a separate entrance and so forth, but it may ultimately be for my grown children to live at home or in-laws or a sick aunt. But there's nothing in the.
What
code
about the
that
sick uncle?
I think there's some bids in for a reservation for that space.
Okay, that's one of the questions I asked. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Maybe I should have asked Ingrid, is the seawall addressed at all in this project?
So the seawall, the existing seawall doesn't have to be changed. I mean,
Okay.
it's been maintained. I'm glad you actually do ask because we are elevating this house to comply both with the current FEMA regulations on, elevation requirements, giving, kind of the rising sea issue. And because this house was constructed back in 2000, the seawall and most of the seawalls, along that part of the Intracoastal and many throughout Highland Beach and Boca Del Rey and so forth are very low. And so the seawall elevation is only, in some spots, I believe it's under 4 feet. And so the objective is that I am committed in wanting, desirous to replace the entire seawall. The issue and the sole issue has been, and I would like to do that, by the way, as part of this construction, the issue has been the pendency of the changes in the accessory marine, structure, parts of the code.
Because
which
I think
know
you
is
had some
ongoing.
concerns back when we were going through this. I think you came up and spoke that.
I
about
did.
the-
Yeah, I did. And so, but we want clarity. So, the issue, as you're well aware, and not to deviate to other business, but the setback rules for docks and seawalls currently is extremely restrictive. And so, the seawall, to replace the seawall will be very expensive. And at the same time, it's important to mobilize, the firm that would construct it to do the dock work and
Right.
make it all integral and strong and appropriate. And so I want to wait until we have
Yeah.
clarity on that, and then we'll do it.
74099.
Yeah, understood.
Yes, please.
All right.
Thank you.
Eileen?
Yeah, you said your name. Are you the owner?
I am, yeah,
Okay.
David Willens.
Okay, and
This is my architectural team. So
Okay.
Raul and Cynthia, if you have more technical
That's
questions
fine.
about design,
if that, you just said your name,
Yeah.
I wanted to get the players straight.
Yeah, and so you're aware, we were supposed to have somebody here today to talk about seawalls and so forth, but there was a medical emergency. So we're trying to clarify that as expediently as we can, because it not just only impacts you, but impacts the rest of the town.
no, I'm glad to hear that that's advancing because I know it's been a very long process and the town engaged its engineer, its marine engineer who already opined it made sense to do it. And there was town involvement. It just feels like it's moving at a snail's pace. And,
It feels like that to us too, but we're trying to try to get an overall comprehension of what needs to be done. One other question, you are aware of the Triple R project for A1A?
So just for clarity, are you referring to the FDOT
Yeah.
modifications to the roadway and so forth? Yes.
All right, are there
I
any?
have one
go
last
ahead.
question. Did you just recently buy this property or have you owned it since 2000?
No. So I acquired the property back in April of 21, so it's 2 years now. And previously I developed 3715 on the beach, right across the street
Okay,
with the louvers and so forth. And so I think I've lost my mind doing this again, but
right, okay.
nonetheless, hopefully this will be the last one.
Well, thank you. Any other questions? At this time, the public hearing is closed. Thank you. Any,
The architect, maybe?
does anybody have a question from the architect?
Yeah.
All right, could we please bring the architect up then? And I rescind that the public hearing is now closed. It is reopened.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, Mr.
That's
Chair.
my fault. Please identify yourself.
I'm Cynthia.
I'm Raul.
Last names, please.
Cynthia Martinez.
And the company?
Speak into the mic for us, please, so that the hundreds at home can hear what you're saying.
Okay, I've
All
got
right, Brian.
probably about water,
Go ahead.
yeah, where the water will be going, coming off a new tin roof, I imagine, right? Where's the water, excess water going? Okay.
Let me just make a point. Let me just make a
All
point.
right.
With regards to drainage, right? Is that your intent? So the applicant, in your packets, you'll see a drainage plan. The drainage plan and the drainage calculations provided by the applicant were reviewed by our drainage engineer. We outsourced a drainage engineer with Cap Government, right? So that was signed off. Just want to make sure
Okay.
that you
just
are
wanna
clear
make
that it
sure
was
it's
approved.
Publicly
Yeah.
acknowledged.
And if I may also, Mr. Demas, on your question about the seawall, right? The seawall, any type of proposed changes are not part of this application. If the applicant wanted to go
Yeah,
ahead and
I-
make any changes.
I know I
Oh,
didn't see
okay.
it on here,
Okay.
but I just wanted to
Yeah.
emphasize seawalls are important.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
that would
and
be
I-
a special exemption.
And I think down the street from him is the new construction where the seawall has been added or the property was extended, right?
That's
And a
correct.
New seawall.
500,
So
yeah.
to me, it goes hand in hand.
All right, the other thing that I've been amiss, any of our Zoom participants have any questions? Robert, David?
None for me.
None for me either.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Short and sweet. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Good job.
I thought that was a comedy team there for a second. All right, at this point, the public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to approve or deny? I'm waiting to hear one.
I'll make a motion to approve the project.
I have a second anywhere.
Second, it.
All right. Do we have to call the roll on this one?
Yes, so for the record, the motion is to approve development application number 23002.
Correct. Thank you.
Member Demas,
Yes.
member Adwar,
yes,
member Powell,
Yes.
member Brown,
Yes.
member Chudnotsky,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Mendelson,
Yes.
and Chairperson Goldenberg.
Yes,
Motion carries.
motion is approved. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. That is some project you're working on. And then you can go back to the psychologist to decide if you want to do it again. Thank you so much.
What's the time frame? I'm just curious.
Yeah, do we have a time frame on this, by the way?
Within 10 years.
Yeah, I know.
I know,
Okay.
Stuart. Okay.
All right, as we continue. Thank you so much. You can step aside if you like. If you want to hear, you're more than welcome to. Let's move to item under, I guess it would be 9A now, or 8A, unfinished business. Ingrid, you have the
Yes.
floor? Or the
In the room.
dais or the
Okay.
table or?
So yes, you have your ongoing discussion regarding the amendment concepts that are specific to the accessory marine facility and seawall regulations of the code. Before I get into an overview of the staff memorandum that I provided, it's on page 9 of your packets. You all probably kind of heard me mention earlier, but I just wanted to say for the record, the town's marine expert, ATM, Dr. Michael Jenkins, he had confirmed coming to the meeting today, but he contacted me on Tuesday that he did have a medical emergency, wouldn't be able to attend. I advised him of the July meeting date. He said to me that he feels he'll be recovered by then. So unless something drastic happens, we'll see him in July. So just wanted to point that out. So I basically provided you that memorandum of sort of an overview of what you all discussed in May. I'll just go through that quickly. Number one, you all considered possibly having a mooring setback to address moored boats extending beyond individual property lines. You also talked about maintaining the current accessory marine facility setbacks for those single-family properties located within Bird Beach, if the majority of residents agree. I've gone ahead and provided those setbacks for you, again, on page 9 of your packets. You also asked about what was the intent for the proposed change to the accessory marine facility setback. As I touched upon at the May meeting, these amendment concepts were initially proposed by the previous Vice Mayor, Greg Bobby, and he provided a draft report to the commission on March 15th of 2022. So I've attached that report to your packets. If you look at the bottom of page 15, I believe. Yeah, on the bottom of page 15, he talks about the whole proposed change to site setbacks. And then on page 16, he talks about that other municipalities, and I think I touched on this at the May meeting. So other municipalities he references here, Boca Raton, Hillsborough Beach, and Ocean Ridge all have a 10-foot site setback, across the board. So that's there for your review. And then you also requested that the board go back out on the Marine Patrol vessel to assess the existing docks and multifamily zoning districts and how they may be impacted by the proposed amendment concepts. Especially, specifically the side setback. I had mentioned to the board that in some of the more recent outings I've had, I noticed it before too. And some of the multifamily zoning districts, again, that are just east of Bellito, across from Bellito, I should say, some of those docks go right to the property line right now. So the proposed amendment concept says, a 10-foot setback for all zoning districts, and the minimum would be 5 feet, right? Depends on the lot width, but at minimum, it's 5 feet. So as I mentioned to the board in May, if somebody needed to change out their dock, whether it's 10 years, if the amendment concept gets approved as it's proposed, they may lose 5 feet on each side of the dock when they install a new dock. When you install a new dock, you have to comply with the provisions. Now, that's if the amendment concept gets approved as proposed. I did discuss this request with the town manager. He agreed to have you all go back out there. So I'll be reaching out to all of you individually next week, and we'll coordinate with the police officers that drive the boat. And I also wanted to add, at this past Tuesday's Town Commission meeting on June 6th, the commission had requested an update as to where you all are on the accessory marine facilities. And so I basically gave them an update, provided them these tables and what have you. They did have some additional commentary. And so I'm just going to put that out there for you to consider. They talked about the residential multifamily. If you recall, when that zoning density initiative came before you a few months back, there was an example how we have, I think we gave the example Russell Drive, because that was one property owner that
Right.
came before the commission, but there's many examples throughout the town. He has a triplex, 3 units. He wants to redevelop them, but based on the density, right, for residential multifamily, which is 6 dwelling units per acre, a lot of those lots are around 10,000 square feet. He could only get back the one. So he could only get back 1 unit. So the commission had made a comment that that it's interesting that in residential multifamily, if there's no change to the density, there may be though, we'll see. You could only get 1 unit. And if the amendment concept gets approved, that 1 unit would have to have at least, it will have the 10 feet, again, depending on the lot size, whereas a single family residence in the single family zoning district currently has to have 25 feet. So I think they wanted you to be aware of that scenario. Now, with that said, they also talk about that if you have 3 units in a multifamily and you provide the 10-foot side setback, it may be that only one of the owners of the 3 units may be able to have a boat, right? Because now with the setback, you don't have as much room. So that's another sort of a flip side to the discussion, if you wish. The commission also wanted to bring to your attention about, again, the side setback issue. They had asked me whether you all are considering maybe a compromise between 25, which is existing for single family, maybe not 10, maybe 20 or something in the middle. I mentioned to the board that, or to the commission, that you haven't brought that up yet or discussed anything like that. So they want to be sure that you build consensus. So if it's a matter of going from maybe not 25 for single family to 10, but maybe there's some middle ground, if that's the scenario, they want you to be aware of that. Other comments were, and we've heard this before, to treat the canals treat canals differently. You have to accommodate different areas, not a one size fits all.
Right.
But I also want to bring to the board's attention that some of the canals, like when you look at the canal, actually, can we bring up the PowerPoint, Linelda? When you look at the canal on the north side of Boca Highlands, that canal has a lot of widths, right? It's a very interesting shaped canal. And I have the widths here just to give you some perspective right here. So, even like if you look at this area, this is again, the northern part of Boca Highlands. I mean, this would be an area that, again, we're looking at not every, canal is the same and one size doesn't fit all. So this would be, I think, logically an area you may want to focus on, but there's so many, here you have, now these are approximates. These are rough estimates, 77.6 feet here. Then you have 61.6 feet here. You have 92.8 here. And then this property going across is 152.4 feet. Here you have 66.7 feet. So even in an area where you may think, okay, let's hone in, this could be an area where there may be something different. There's still there's a variety of lot widths. Yeah.
Ingrid, the first time we all went out, we took
Yes.
the tour.
Yes.
Okay, as she's talking right now, are we going to be able to go to specific, you're bringing up specific points right now. Will there be more of an agenda to specific areas that are in question right now, like you're speaking?
Well, again, I think your concern was that multifamily with the docks that are right to the property line. I can do something like that if you want to let me know anything specific that you would like to.
Because as I listened to the commission's meeting, consensus, they're going to have a problem with consensus because in some cases, I thought there was already emotional comments being made about what they'd like to see, especially when they spoke about Birds Hill and
Yeah.
et cetera. So I would really like to get into the specific areas that are in question versus taking an overall tour.
Okay, so what we could do is, let's see if I can get to the next slide.
Can we stop you for a minute?
Sure.
Because it's just gonna get like.
Too far out.
Okay, so. Yeah, I'm sorry. For me, anyway, like, I think we need to, like, I hear like all their feedback. I think we need to hear their feedback, or it needs to be on a list. And we stop and deal with each point, because first of all, I'm not even very good at this marine stuff. It's
Okay.
very hard for me because I don't even like boats, but I feel like I lose the ability to comment at the moment of, like, the commission says you should, take a look at this. And I go, yeah, let's take a look at that. That's a huge thing, what you said about
Yeah.
this, whether it's, you have to, the minute you change, you have to comply with the new rules, or there's some kind of, grandfathering that we write into the rules that we propose. It's huge. So we could discuss that for like 2 hours.
Right.
So, and this like thing, and then it sort of blew by. Well, maybe we could compromise between 25 and 10. And I'm going, well, yeah, I'm a big believer in compromise. So let's talk about that. And, is it 17 and a half? Is it 15? Is it, so I think we need to like really address each point that's being brought up and make some decisions of what we're recommending.
Yeah. Well, what I had mentioned to the commission, this just all happened Tuesday, so I'd be happy to put this, in
We understand that.
a report. I did mention to the commission that you're just at the concept level. That was the initial direction that the commission gave you, is to look at these amendment concepts. So I just wanted to make sure that they were clear. We have a lot of new commissioners that weren't there from the beginning, so I think may not be it may be very clear for some of them, all that has gone on. But I'll be happy to write all these things again. This is just commentary. I'll emphasize again what the direction was from the commission to the board. It was to review and analyze the amendment concepts. So as far as it's going to be, how it's going to be applied for new or whatever. I mean, that wasn't per se part of the amendment concept, but yeah, they're throwing it out to you now.
But
Yeah.
isn't it kind of part of the amendment concept? I mean, how do you agree to a concept without knowing how it works?
Yeah.
Procedurally, like I mean, that's the lawyer in me, like
Yeah.
you can't just have a concept without how it's gonna be applied.
Well, I think you massage the concept and then you organically come up
Right.
with
But then
other
if you-
components of it, but yeah.
But
I
then
get
if you
it.
give the concept, in your mind, you had a way that you were planning to install it, so to speak, and then the installation part comes up totally different, then you sort of didn't get what you were aiming for, so.
And your comment on like Russell Drive,
Yeah,
you got a threeplex
yeah.
and you go to single family. I mean, that changes the whole parameter of things.
But aren't we talking apples and oranges? Are we talking density multifamily, or are we talking about accessory marine facilities? I mean, we're
Yeah.
talking,
They
We have-
fixed it.
Yeah, they.
yeah,
fixed it.
and we got to be real careful
Yes.
about that because we're talking about the future of this community, not so much. I understand, the accessory marine facilities is important, but I think a density issue and a quote unquote rezoning issue
Yeah,
that's a massive task.
And
yes.
maybe they deserve to be blended, because maybe they
Wow.
are like,
It's hard,
they like.
but it's hard,
Complementary
they are
concepts.
complementary, but it's hard enough for us to get a handle on accessory
Yeah.
marine facilities, let alone the density issue.
But I think another boat ride will certainly help.
Yeah,
Yeah, me
And,
too.
and I think also you're looking at one canal at a time instead of the overall.
Yeah, and if, I understand it's more work for you, Ingrid, but if you can possibly list for you to explain to us what we're looking at and how you feel that can be applied or not applied, that would be helpful. I think that the setback issue is an interesting one, but we're not talking about a land setback, which we've discussed many times already
Right.
for approvals. But it's the aquatic setback, which is the issue. And I think what you brought up to us the last time with the multifamily docks that go to the whole property, I personally don't have an issue with that. What my issue is as you discussed in the beginning, when vessels overreach to another's property. That is a setback that I'd be interested in. I think dock wise, I think that a property is a property and they can go to wherever they need to as long as they don't impede on another property. But I think the seawall issue, I was hoping to be able to address today. Obviously, we cannot. So maybe in July, we can address that because I think the expert will tell us what he thinks his approximation is with the height of water rising. And we hear it from Wikipedia, we hear it from anywhere on the internet versus what our expert has to say.
Yeah, I think probably the marine expert could also give you some input on mooring setbacks as well. What he's seen in other municipalities, if anything like that at all. I don't know.
Right, I
You could pick his brain.
I
And
think
the height thing.
Roger behind us, I'm sure has some input on that. And I guess we can address it the next meeting.
And Ingrid, when you just showed us that last visual with like the canal where there were some that were like little
Yeah.
and some that were
Right,
150 feet. So were we like, were the concepts we were thinking of, did they all have to do with how wide it was, or were we picking canals to say this one you
No.
can't, you know, I mean,
Uh,
I don't even know what we were doing.
I thought, excuse me, Eileen, but I thought we focused in on the landward side and how that would extend into the canal. So I think that's what we
Right.
were addressing.
Right.
Is that how we
Well-
worded it, the landward side of a property?
Yeah, again, the amendment concept is encroachment into the water. This is what's being proposed. 25 feet or 25% of the waterway width, whichever is less. Right, so I think that's why you're looking at widths, right? Because this is the amendment concept, so it's important to know.
Well, that
to get
is
some
important,
examples.
how
Yeah.
the widths are, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
Then, right.
And then we discussed, if I remember correctly, which is a hard thing to do sometimes, that some of the property lines extended into the
Right.
water.
Right,
So that's maybe where you can show us also where that might happen on a couple specific properties.
yeah, I know that I brought out those maps at the first site visits. and
I
showed
know,
that,
but it was so,
It's a lot. It was a lot. I get it. Yeah, I'll be happy to point out those and add it to my list. So,
right. And I
lot
think we
lines.
did talk about the existing landward side of a property where it would extend. Any other we need to discuss at this moment? I'd
I'm-
like to table. You have anything else?
yeah, I just wanted to finish the list that the commission gave, just I'll put it on the record. Again, I'll be happy to print it out or write it up for the next meeting. They also talked about that they don't want, on this topic that you just brought up about the property lines in the water, they don't want to have any bump outs into the intercoastal, right? Because some of the condos have their property lines in the water. So if you have it, if the regulation is from the property line, that's a problem, right? So it's
Excuse-
going to.
Excuse me 1 second. Harry, we're excusing Harry Adwar from this meeting at this point. Thank you, Harry. Please continue. Ingrid.
Yes,
In listening to the commissioners meeting, will they have an opportunity to be out in the water at all?
I've gone out with several of the commissioners. So yeah,
Because it's a missing piece, and they're going to get our recommendations, but
yeah,
they will miss a piece if they're not out there to see this.
yeah.
And the other thing we did discuss was that we were thinking of breaking it down between the intracoastal and the
Correct.
canals,
That's in your-
because the intracoastal is more controlled by the state and the feds versus what we have.
Well, the feds are, again, they regulate the canals and the lakes and the intercoastal.
I understand that,
The
but we
width
have
of
more
the
control.
intercoastal,
Yeah.
right? And that I put in your memo of what you discussed last, I guess was maybe the meeting before, where you felt that the 25 feet or 25% would apply only to the canals and the lakes, not on the intercoastal.
Right,
Right.
okay. Well, why don't we, Glenn, how would we table this till the July meeting?
Could I just have
Let-
one more comment from the commission? Just
No. Okay, go ahead.
just so I could say it, say I said it. I think this is good, and I'm going to reach out to the a marine expert to address this. With regards to the seawall height, they did bring up that how the king tides play a role in that, in determining the maximum seawall height. So I will send a little email to the marine experts to see if he can address that.
Right, well,
Yeah.
that's, go ahead.
My only comment, it's great hearing it from Ingrid, but I think being at that commission meeting and having them discuss what we're talking about right now was very meaningful, because I could see the gap. And you could see the challenge that they're going to have in getting our report, because there's some major missing pieces amongst themselves. And I would recommend if you have the time to sit in the meeting for a short period of time, to be able to, it's going to be easy for us to understand where their heads are right now. It's great hearing it from Ingrid, but I got a lot out of it myself.
Yeah, and that
Right.
meeting, again, it was this past Tuesday, June 6th. All of our meetings are recorded, so you can sit in the luxury of your home and go on the internet. You go on the town website and you go to the agendas and meetings and you click on that, and you'll be able to click on the meeting and hear it. So just in case you didn't know.
Did they have any comment about this, the height of how high it can be, those, whatever you.
The pilings for the boat lift?
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't say specifically. I mean, I know that the property on Grant Court that was quite contentious, that came up. that those pilings were very high. But what I had mentioned to the commission is that when they initially got the approval back in 2017, I believe, the plans that they submitted to the town show that the piling heights were
Were
4
not-
feet, right?
Right.
So as a result, they built something that was not consistent with the plans. And then they had a stop work order.
Right.
So I let the commission know that we have staff that, again, back in that time, I believe it was just one building official who wore many hats. You know, we're very careful to make sure that dimensions are called out, plans are scaled, heights are provided, so we don't have that type of scenario.
Right.
again.
It just seems that we have a lot of items on the agenda that deal with that, with those lifts and how high it can be. So
Right.
I just was wondering if anybody was focused in on that as much as the seawall height, but apparently not.
Yeah,
I-
it's still an amendment
No,
concept, but I'm sure you'll get to it.
I
you know,
I have one
eventually.
more question for you. Are you sure that? we
That's for the attorney.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Len. Are you sure that we can't all just go out on a boat together if she's on the boat and you're on the boat? What, tell me why?
So
Like, we're all here now.
I know, but it has to be publicly noticed. People in the public have to have access to what you're saying to each other.
Well, we
Uh,
could like zoom it from the boat.
Uh,
I
It's hard enough to zoom from here. All right, can I?
The boat is not that big. I mean, you all recall, the boat is, there's not much standing space.
So,
All right. Can we focus in just a drop? What I'd like to see if we can focus in for the next meeting, because it is like herding cats at this point. I'd like to focus in on the height of the seawall if possible. Setbacks for visuals as well as for docks. And I think,
Setbacks for visuals?
yeah, I mean, for interference with,
Neighbor's property.
yeah, for boats.
Oh, the mooring
Boring,
setback.
it's however you want to put that, right? And also, I'd like to just, it's silly, but I would like to finish up with the ladders also, whether we want them on docks or we want them on
Seawall.
seawalls at the same time. So it'd be one or the other, and we can change that to the property, not just docks.
And there's good examples out there right now about.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's good. examples.
and let's talk about if we have the marine expert, because at this point, we're just guessing at what we think the height of the seawall should be. We have someone who's experienced and can put this on the record. So can, at this point, Eileen,
it's okay, but I would not be comfortable giving our recommendations at the end without talking about that, you know, how it works and if you can be grandfathered and.
yeah, but that, I don't disagree. That will be after we make sort of have a consensus on what we think the height of the seawall should be.
Okay.
And then we go
It's
like
not a-
whether it's going to be grandfathered, which I think it's almost to this point, my personal opinion is that it almost has to be, because we'd be costing
No,
a fortune to everyone,
right.
just like we did with the lighting.
Hurdles,
Eric,
Yeah,
right.
we
but-
just put in a seawall at the Coronado. It's 18 inches. You can really see the difference as you look at the seawall that we put in and you look at the abutters. And if
Right.
you really want to, it would be worthwhile if you have any questions about why go higher in a seawall. It's well answered when you look across the way and you see the water coming on people's property.
let's table all that till the July meeting. I agree. And I don't want it to be like a castle where everybody else is lower and all of a sudden you have your wall and all the water comes back into your property. So Ingrid, can we thank you for the work that you have done and the work you will be doing?
Yes.
Is that the 13th, that meeting?
Take care of your toe.
All right, so we'll table this to the July 13th meeting.
Chair,
You
is
don't
there,
have to.
Well, whatever, we'll
Ongoing.
continue the conversation.
if I may, Len, is there a public comment for this ongoing discussion? Mr.
Sure.
Willens?
I think if somebody wants to give a public comment, we should take it.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on then. All right, announcements,
Oh,
June.
do you want-
Do you need? Go ahead, please.
Yeah.
And just state your name again.
David Willens, 2362 South Ocean
Go ahead.
Boulevard. So firstly, I just had a question and then I offer some thoughts and feedback as a resident, interested resident, a 30-year developer and attorney as well.
I hear you.
Obviously, it's a big struggle, and I feel for you. The first question was, is the Beard Beach, I heard you make. a
Bird
comment.
Beach, that's
That-
your
that there were-
neighborhood.
Right. I was curious if there's a variance on what's being proposed for the rules as it affects the accessory marine structures. I heard a comment in the beginning and I'm
Well-
not aware of a difference.
As of now, no.
Okay.
Well, we'll see where this goes, but I believe that someone, the representative doctor said that he'd like to keep the 25-foot setback, but that's a whole other issue that we'll get into after we get some professional comments.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that will become a big issue. if
I
that becomes
understand.
the case. So,
Yeah.
I'd just like to offer, some feedback. I think as a practicing lawyer and a code guy and a developer, the struggle that the town is going through in terms of considering all these factors and all the variables and all the different circumstances is massive and understandable. And I think that codes are good at defining the broad strokes and what applies in most scenarios, but it's going to be an impossible endeavor for you to go through every canal and every homeowner situation and every angle and every detail and define a code provision that's going to comprehensively define a great solution for every situation. It's just going to be impossible, particularly given that this is all fully developed. It's not like a blank slate and you're defining a new
Correct.
code for new development. And so I think that the commission has to listen to the engineers and the experts and define a code solution that addresses the important considerations and the preponderance of the physical situations presented. And then the code has to contemplate a section that in special situations, an owner, a developer can appeal to a committee that could be defined or through a specific process. To Ms. Mendelson's proposal, I agree with that you need mechanics and then a process to address those situations and then to resolve them. There's just no way you're going to address every single one, and this will never get done and you're going to spend crazy amounts of time. So I do think that I offer you one thing, the setback issue is sensitive, and given that we have a code and it defined different setbacks for different zoning classifications of property, personally, I fail to understand any possible logic associated with that, because the issues, as well presented by Mr. Goldenberg, relate to the interference with an adjacent property and their use of their property and their visibility and function. And so I'm not sure why that would be different for a multifamily property or a single family property or the size of a property or anything. If the setback is 10 feet, and that's what's been determined by the experts in the community to be deemed a setback that would not interfere with the adjacent property, why is that different if it's a 30-foot property or 200-foot property or multifamily or single or so forth?
Just so you're aware, I think that we're mixing apples and oranges with setbacks. I think that in the past, everybody was concerned about setbacks for the physical property and not the marine property. And I think that's where we got a bit into the woods confused about setbacks. I really do. I think as Ingrid made us aware at the last meeting that the multifamilies, some of their docks, their built up portions, we call them docks or whatever you want to call them, come right up to their property line.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't interfere, but I think that the concern in the past, if I remember correctly, when I was originally on the planning board, was that people were putting their air conditioners closer to someone else's property and the noise and so forth and so on. And then it got mixed up with this accessory marine facility. And that's what we're trying to focus in on now. And it's only for the accessory marine facility that we're talking about. And that's why I think when we go back out on the boat again, we're going to be addressing that issue. And I personally, if you're not interfering with a resident's visual impact on their waterway or their view, we should stay out of it. And if residents want to have a 25-foot setback, that's up to them, as long as they don't interfere with, that's why I originally got on this planning board, not that I'm standing on a podium, but that's why I originally wanted to be on the planning board, so that we would protect individual residents' right to enjoy their property, and we agree with you.
Right, and I agree, and more to that point, people spend a lot of money to
A
live
bit.
on waterfront, deep waterfront property, and most people, not everyone, of course, wants to avail themselves of the utility of the property and having a boat and enjoying, you know, the marine opportunities here in South Florida.
Yes, so, yeah, well, yeah.
So,
Mr. Brown has a number of boats and he's on the water. So we appreciate that. And I'm on the water and
Yeah.
David's community is on the water. So we're very sensitive to that fact.
the last point I just wanted to make, and I just, you know, I appreciate your patience, is in the Beard Beach area and other parts of the intracoastal that are directly affronting, you know, the main intracoastal
Right.
waterway where it's very wide. The other problem that we have is substantial wave action, as everybody knows. on the
I think
weekend.
that's a whole issue that I understand.
Here's how it relates, and so I'm not going off on a tangent, but it relates to safety of accessing your boat on the waterway. And so the size of a dock and how that dock is configured, for example, for my property at 2362 South Ocean, I already obtained DEP and Army Corps of Engineer approval to have a T-dock, which has a breakwater on the outside,
I've seen some of
which
them.
is entirely a safety consideration for my family. And there's precedent for numerous docks along Beard Beach for exactly that reason, and in other parts of the intracoastal, up and down all of South Florida. And so again, the setback and the length of the dock really matters, because if you can only have on an 80-foot property with 25-foot setbacks, you
Nah,
only have
yeah,
a 30-foot dock.
I
A
understand.
30-foot breakwater will have zero function, whereas a 60-foot dock with a breakwater is immensely different, you know, is established by the engineers.
I used to have a boat on the intracoastal. Fortunately, it was on a lift, but that was very
Right.
challenging also. And I'm aware of the breakwater docks that you speak of.
Even accessing your lift, you can't get on and off the lift because the
gotta
wave
time it.
action is too substantial. So it's
Thank
a
you
real
for the
safety
input.
issue, and I think that,
We're at least most of us are aware of that.
thank you so much.
No, thank you. Can we move on at this point? And let's do announcements. Thank you again for your comments. June 13th, 2023, 1 p.m. We have a code enforcement regular meeting. June 20th, 2023 at 1:30 p.m. is a town commission meeting. Is there any other issues? Can I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
So all in favor?
All in favor.
Meeting closed at 10:31. Thank you, everyone.